Ahoy! Having played the role of middleman countless times, I often had to give instructions to players who were new to the character transfer. So I believe this guide video is going to prove quite useful. Now first of all, if you don't know what character transfer is, there is a way to transfer one of your characters to another account and vice versa. This is useful if you're buying or selling a high-level character or any account binding item that otherwise cannot be traded. Everything that is equipped on the character and everything that's in its inventory will belong to the receiver once the character is transferred. So it's a way to trade account binding chaos accessories, for example. So let's begin. I'm going to demonstrate that in my web browser, or to be precise too, because the in-game item shop often has problems, but it's exactly the same in the game, so you can do it there too. Open up the item shop and navigate to the premium services and character services. You've got something called account transfer here. Okay, I actually refer to it as character transfer because you're transferring the character, not the account, but whatever, so account transfer. Once you open that thing, you can select whether you want to send or receive the character. In this case, the character receiver will be on the left side and the sender on the right. Usually that means the buyer has to look at the left side and the seller the right side. Also, the buyer or receiver has to pay the 5 vouchers for the transfer. Now speaking of buying and selling, this whole service was created for one person to transfer a character to another one of his own accounts. That means if there's a transfer between two different people, a buyer and a seller, there is no official way to make a trade that's safe. This is where the middleman comes in the picture. A middleman is a third person that both the buyer and the seller trust. The middleman's task is to receive the money from the buyer and hold it in his inventory until the buyer confirms that he indeed received the character as promised and then give it to the seller. So if you're doing a transfer between two people, before proceeding any further, the buyer must hand over the agreed upon amount to the middleman. So let's assume that's done and proceed. There's something like a terms of service and whatever agreement that you have to agree with on both sides. You can read that yourself later, I'm not going into any details, so just click next. Now the character sender must input his sub-password. That's the password you use in the character selection screen. Someone told me that having a sub-password with over 4 digits makes the game go crazy and won't let you do it, so I made a password that's longer than that. And it worked perfectly, as you can see. So I don't think that's an issue anymore. The receiver must select the server and the level category in which the character will be. In my case, that's a storage account, so all my characters are close to level 1. Therefore, it's the category between level 1 and 49. And you click the button to make a new code. And now you can see the code right there. This must be given to the sender, so we can also enter it in his window. So if you're in game, you have to exit the item shop for a minute and tell them the code. Now you can select the character you want to send, and then you can see all the information about it just to double check that it's the correct character. If everything is alright, click save, and that's where the sender's role basically ends. Let's go back to the receiver and click the refresh button, and there we go, it's all there. Now, giving the character a new name is optional, but if you're buying a character to use and not just some account binding item, then you really should change the name, so let's give it some random new name. And then you have to select which character slot to put the new character into. Well, there's a little problem since this is a storage account and all the slots are already taken, so let me pause this thing for a minute. Alright, I deleted one of the characters, so it should work now. Let's try again, and there, now I can select number 6 and give it a new name. I hope this isn't taken by some random alt-seller bot running around in bloody ice. We have a few thousand of those in Europe, so I wouldn't be surprised. Before you can click next, the seller must log out of his account completely. That means going to the character selection screen is not enough. You have to see the login screen where you type your password or exit the game entirely for a minute. Otherwise, the buyer is going to get an error that the character is online. Now, once that is done, the buyer must pay the 5 vouchers for the transfer by clicking the purchase button. I won't do that now, but I'm pretty sure you can do that without my help. If that's done, you can log on to your new character, make sure everything is okay, and if so, tell the middleman that he can give the money to the seller. Now that I've shown you how to do it, a thing or two to watch out for. First of all, if the character has anything in a PW5 inventory, it won't be transferred. In fact, the whole transfer service is going to give you a random error message without even letting you know what's the problem. To solve that, empty your PW5 inventory before the transfer. Second, middlemen often charge a small amount of Oz for their time taken to help with the transfer. If so, they will tell you beforehand, and the buyer and seller should agree on who pays that amount and in what form. Third, merit mastery is applied to the whole account, so if you transfer a character to another, its merit progress will not go with it. And last but not least, if for whatever reason you want to cancel the transfer, you have to click the delete button. Otherwise, the character might still be transferred even after the middleman gives the money back to the buyer. Now I'm saying this because it happened once before while I was the middleman and the seller didn't make sure the code was cancelled before he told me to give the Oz back to the buyer. So an hour after the whole incident, when we all went our separate ways, the buyer went back to the transfer page and finished it, and the character was transferred without paying the seller, and of course the seller was blaming me for his mistake. So I'm telling you now that in case this happens to you, it's your mistake and don't try to blame it on the middleman. Anyway, I hope this video will help you if you're new to the whole transfer business. As usual, if anything is unclear or I didn't mention it, the comments are open for everyone. If you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it or subscribing to my channel. Ahoy!